I have been waiting for this day for months. Finally able to take this bike back out again. It has been a terrible winter, which I'm sure a lot of you know. So I actually had this bike hit its 5,000 miles in November. And so I actually got it back from its 5,000 mile service on Black Friday, and it has been parked here ever since. The weather's just not been ideal for riding, but finally we got a 60-degree day. So I'm finally going to take this out for the first time since Black Friday, and it is now February 1st. So the bike has been sitting here collecting dust, and I don't know if the camera's going to show this or not, but this thing has a layer of dust on it. So I'm hoping the ride will kind of get some of that dust off, and I may wash it off when I get back just to get any salt that gets on the bike. But if you're someone like me that lives somewhere where you will be having to store this bike for long periods of time when you're not riding during the weather, I highly recommend getting one of these battery tenders, because they will make sure that once you start it up, after it's been sitting, that your bike is actually going to start. You'll see I have this plugged in here to an outlet. This is the Harley-Davidson branded one that I just got on Harley's website. And I have an extension that you see that it comes with, because the original cord to it's not very long. And depending on where you have the bike, you may need a longer cord. So they do have an extension. And then that just runs down here to your battery tender. You just hook it up, plug this thing in. And on the battery, you do want to have it selected as this one right here, which is the 12-volt AGM. That's the one that I've had on this bike and my Sportster, and it seems to have done the job. So let's go ahead, take this thing off, roll it out, and see if it'll start right up. One other thing that I recommend, especially for any Harley-Davidson bike, are these kickstand pucks. Basically, just gives you more surface area for the kickstand. So one, it doesn't scratch up your surface and just helps keep it from sliding around, especially if you have to park on like a wet surface or hot asphalt or anything like that. Definitely provides more surface area. And as you can see on the concrete driveway, all the areas where I just had the regular kickstand definitely scratches up the concrete. So that kickstand puck definitely helps prevent this from happening. So you see the battery turns on, so that charger definitely helped keep the battery charged, especially since the temperatures got stupid cold here. A lot of issues. We had to replace my wife's car battery because it got so cold, but we had this garage kept and hooked up to that tender. Seemed to do the job. And you'll see I have 5,054 miles, so that's what it's been on since Black Friday basically. So I need to do a 5,000 mile review, but today I'm just going to take this thing out and get reacclimated to riding. Look at that, no issues whatsoever. Now I did check my tire pressure before I got on the bike, because that is definitely something you want to do, especially if it's sitting through cold weather. I think the front tire was only a pound short, so not too much air came out of these tires, so we are good to go. All right, I gotta figure out if I remember how to ride. I feel like it's been so long, I'm almost a new rider again. I haven't had that motion of shifting in a while, so got to get back to that muscle memory of shifting and braking and all that stuff. I forgot how much I missed riding a bike. It's like after several months go by, it's like I almost forget what it feels like to ride. Now, if you are riding in the winter time and it has snowed recently, kind of like it has with us, one thing you want to be aware of is the salt and sand in the streets, if they do treat the streets in your area. So I'm definitely going to be cautious of that, not go crazy, and then make sure that when you come to a stop, you plant your feet, and then when you start going again, you pick your feet directly up and aren't dragging your feet on the ground, because you could catch some of that sand, and then that's gonna not be pleasant for you if you do slip out. And another thing I'm gonna have to watch out for is potholes. Those things have been popping up like crazy everywhere, and like giant craters, not like these small little ones where it's not gonna be a big deal. There's been a lot of cars getting a lot of flat tires from some of the potholes, so I'm definitely going to keep my distance from the car in front of me just in case one pops up at last minute. So yeah, I've been meaning to do that 5,000 mile review on this bike, but the weather has just sucked, and it's not going to stay this way. I think it's supposed to rain all weekend, so that's going to put a damper on that. But that review will be coming out whenever the weather is good enough to do so. But I've had zero issues with this bike within its first 5,000 miles. It is kind of a pain when it's a little chilly out, because if you have your visor closed, it just fogs up. But then if you open it, my microphone isn't going to like that too much. But yeah, no issues with this bike within its first 5,000 miles. Tires look good and everything still. No issues that they reported. Unlike I had with my Sportster, which I'll post a link up here to some issues that I had with my Sportster within the first 500 miles. And that kind of leaned me towards getting rid of that bike anyway, with the issues I was having with it. But it's funny, I thought I was going to have issues with remembering how to shift and that coordination, but luckily, because of muscle memory, it's just like riding a bike. No issues with the weight of the bike or anything like that. After months without riding, it just kind of comes back natural. But I'm hoping some of this dust and stuff that collected on the bike is blowing off. But I'll probably wash it when I get back, just to get any salt off of it. So yeah, there hasn't been much to post about on this channel without being able to ride, which has sucked, because I really like doing these types of videos. But I'm sure a lot of motorcycle YouTubers are in the same boat. The weather's been really bad this winter for a lot of people in the US, not just us here in the Midwest. But anytime there is a day where it's basically in the 50s or above, I'm going to take this thing out. I don't have any heated gear, so below 50 it gets a little uncomfortable to ride. Mainly the only thing on me that gets cold are my legs, because I'm just wearing jeans. I don't have any, motorcycle protection jeans or gear. That is something I would like to invest in and probably need to. But there are a lot of options for heated gear that you slip on either under or over your pants, but just haven't pulled the trigger on those, because usually if it's too cold to ride, that means there's snow on the ground or something like that. But Harley-Davidson did just recently release their 2024 models, and I'm kind of surprised in the touring bikes anyway, because of the price point that they're coming in. They finally went with LED lights that we've been asking for a long time. Finally came out with those. They changed the body lines a little bit, and I don't know, I mean, they got away with the analog gauges on those bikes and went full just touchscreen. I'm not sure how I feel about that. When I test drove one of those, it's like, man, I kind of like having the combination of the analog gauges and the digital. So I'm not sure how I would feel about that. But if any of you guys watching have a Road Glide, one of the newer ones, if you go get one of those or even test ride them, let me know what you think of the all digital display, if you like that better over the analog displays that the older model has. Yeah, I was looking at the MSRP on the 24 Road Glide, and the base model starts at a little over 25, I think, which kind of pisses me off, because that's what I paid for this bike. But again, that's the base model, so you're probably stuck with black paint and chrome, and there is a lot of sand up here. That was a little sketchy back there. So yeah, so for that little over 25, you're probably just getting the base model, and then obviously they have this year an option to go either with chrome or blacked out look, which is nice. I love being able to have that option, but of course with the blacked out look, you're looking at an additional upgrade. But I like the fact that they are making this year the touring bikes more affordable, because that has been a huge complaint, not only by myself, but a lot of other Harley enthusiasts, is the cost of riding this. It's almost like it used to be for the blue-collar worker, and almost like it is hard to get, almost a dream now, for that same community that they were after initially to own a new bike from Harley-Davidson. And with the 2024 Lowrider ST, doesn't look like there's too many changes to the bike itself. There is obviously new color options. I'm a fan of red. I don't know how I feel about the red color of the Lowrider ST for this year. I haven't seen it in person, so I'm not going to judge it just by looking at photos, because colors don't always come through in the photos. But from what I've heard and other people commenting, it looks like ketchup. But I really loved the red color of the 125th anniversary edition ones. Man, if they had one of those at the dealership I bought this from, I almost would have gone that route, because I love that color scheme. It looked amazing. But if you guys have seen the new Harley colors for 2024 in person, let me know what you guys think. Do you like the red or not? Man, I forgot how much fun this bike was. Oh, I can't wait for spring to come around. I do have one part upgrade that I've been meaning to put on this bike. Just been too cold in the garage to work on it, but it's a license plate bracket. The stock one on this bike obviously sits straight up and doesn't look the best, and a lot of people replace those with the lay down license plate covers, but a lot of them are expensive. I mean, if you go with one of those name brand ones, they're not cheap, especially for what it is. I mean, it just holds up your license plate. So I found one on Amazon, and the reviews were really good. Everybody says it fits, even on the Facebook pages. So I ordered one, and it was like 20 bucks or something like that. It was not very expensive. So I'm going to try that out, and hopefully everything fits perfectly, and then that way it'll change the look of the back of the bike a little bit. It'll make that license plate look a little bit better, like it fits in with the fender and not just sticking up in the weird position that it comes stock. So we'll see if the Amazon brand works better or just as good as the named brand more expensive versions. One other thing that I need to order before it goes out of stock when everybody starts riding again is the Saddlemen Explorer seat. My wife wants to ride on the back, so I decided to get that one just because it is wider than the step up. All the reviews of people that have the Saddlemen step up say the passenger is super uncomfortable on that, and with the Explorer seat it's got more surface area and should be a little bit more comfortable. So when I had this bike in for its 5,000 mile service, I had them put on the passenger pegs for me, and they're just a normal Harley branded one. They're the same pegs that come on the front of the stock bikes. So that's all she wanted. She didn't need any fancy floorboards or anything like that. So I just had them since the bike was in for service, and I knew bad weather was coming. I'm like, hey, just throw them on, and they did. So definitely excited about that. So the only thing I need left for this bike for my wife to get on is the seat. So it was out of stock for a lot of last year, but now that it's winter and a lot of people aren't doing anything to their bike, they're finally in stock. So I definitely need to order that before they go out of stock again. If there's any other seats that you guys use for 2-up and your passenger really likes, other than the Saddlemen ones, let us know down in the comments which ones you've had success with, and you know what the passenger experience was with it. You know, the views when you're riding in the winter just aren't as nice. Everything's dead and bland, and it's cloudy, but at least it's like 60 degrees, but everything just looks ugly. It's one bad thing about riding in the winter is no good views to look at. But oh man, I was super excited when it was gonna be 60 degrees a day. I'm like, I am taking the bike out no matter what. It is a work day, but I make my own schedule, so I'm like, I'm gonna make time to ride the bike. And I'm super happy and excited that this thing started up on the first crank. It had no issue starting whatsoever. Battery came on immediately, hit the ignition button, and it just started up, and I let it run idle for about 60 seconds just because it hasn't ran since Black Friday. So but yeah, I've had no issues with this bike so far. It's not acting funny or anything like that. It's just ready to go. Man, if the sun was out and the roads were in better condition, man, I would almost ride all day. You know, you get locked up in the house when it's, you know, we had like 2 weeks where it was freaking, it didn't get above 20 degrees, and there were several days there it didn't get above 0. You know, we had a bunch of snow on the ground, and it just sucked. And so you're stuck at home. You really don't feel like going out anywhere, because when it's a negative 24 wind chill, that just does not feel good on on you. So we've been stuck at home a lot, and you know, it gets kind of depressing. Like, you get bored, and then there's not a whole lot to do. Luckily, I have 2 other YouTube channels I can make videos for, but even then, I'm like, I've had no motivation to do that stuff. It's just been cloudy and cold and just not fun. And that's on days where I miss being able to take the bike out and just ride and kind of relax and clear your head and not worry about everything you're stressed about and just enjoy being out on the road. It was definitely a much needed ride for sure. Yeah, all the sand and everything on these intersections are super sketchy. Definitely trying to avoid those at all costs, especially when you're turning. You don't want to hit a sand patch as you're turning. Oh, I just want to stay out here and keep riding, but I know I do need to go back and actually get some work done today. But, you know, I forgot to stop and take a thumbnail pic, so that's my excuse to keep riding, is I have to go take that thumbnail pic. That's one thing I always forget to do is, you know, after recording, there's usually spots I need to take that picture, but I always forget before it's too late, and it's like, crap, now what do I do? But since I actually remembered and it's an excuse to keep riding, let's go take that. All right, let's pull in here and get this thumbnail shot. My other spot I was gonna do was a little busy, and that's one thing I hate about recording videos out in the public, is it's super awkward. Like, especially if I'm like taking a thumbnail or, you know, doing a review of something off the bike and there's other people around. Obviously they're watching me because I'm a dude on a motorcycle, but I got like cameras all around me and everything, and they're like, oh, what is this guy doing? And it's just awkward. Like, I know there's some people that are probably looking at me funny, but in today's day and age, I mean, there's a lot of content creators out there, so it's not unheard of to see somebody with camera doing stuff, but I just feel awkward, especially if they can hear me talking. I hated that, so luckily I think we should be good over here. There's the one thing I hate doing the most out of YouTube videos is the thumbnail, because trying to come up with one is super difficult. Like, I'm not the most creative person in the world, and it can be a little bit difficult. All right, just making sure I'm still recording. But trying to be a little bit more proactive in there, because that is what gets the views and clicks, is a catchy thumbnail. So I'm going to try something a little bit different with this one. But when you have to do it by yourself, this thing comes in super handy. You could either put a GoPro on there, or in my case, I'm going to put my phone, but you could just mount it to here, and then this remote controls my camera. All right, well, the battery's dead in this remote, so we're going to have to try the old-fashioned way of just trying to frame up the shot and doing like a timer or something. Definitely a trial and error to make sure you're framed up with everything. I want to get that trash can out of the picture. I don't know. We'll see how this works. Gotta figure out how tall I am. There we go. Maybe this will work. I don't know. We'll try it. We're gonna try it this way. I don't know. I think that'll work. I can work with that. Super awkward out here. All right, and then this thing just folds up, and then you're good to go. This thing can also be used as a selfie stick. I've used it that way several times as a selfie stick. This thing was awesome. It's super cheap on Amazon. It's just like some Amazon branded thing. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get out of here. Put it in gear, stupid. I'm actually in the process of getting my drone license for my job, to use it for some inspections that I do. So it'll be really cool, because once I pass the test and all that stuff, then I'll get sent a free drone. So that'll be kind of cool to use for this type of stuff. Normally, if you're just doing it for what I'm doing it, personal use, you don't need a drone license. But since technically I would be using it for my job, at that point, since it is a business, you do need your drone license. So working on taking a course. It's just a self-driven course. You do it at your own leisure, and then you schedule a time to take a test, which I hate taking tests. I can't remember the last test that I've taken. It's been so long, but can't wait till I get that over with, and hopefully get to use a drone to get some more kind of cool shots when I'm out on the bike. Ever get a cramp in your leg? Oh, that's the most annoying thing when you're riding. Oh, I definitely got a cramp. That's uncomfortable. Oh man. Right in my thigh too, like, oh. All right, I gotta stop and stand up. Oh, this cramp is not cool. Nothing worse than getting a cramp in your leg when you're trying to ride. But yeah, I definitely recommend, if you have to store your bike for an extended period of time that you're not going to be riding, highly recommend investing in one of those battery tenders. It definitely keeps your battery charged, so that way when you go to start it after a while, it'll actually start and you don't have to worry about finding a way to jump it or having to replace it or anything like that. It's super easy. You just plug it in. If it is charging your battery, it'll show up with a red light. But then once the battery's charged and it's just kind of monitoring it, it'll turn green and stay green the entire time. And that's all I've done, is just have that thing plugged into the bike. And like I said, I haven't started it or anything since Black Friday, basically. And with that hooked up to the battery, even with these crazy cold temperatures, started up right away. I'm sure there are some off-branded ones that you can get, but I had a gift card for Harley Davidson, so I went ahead and just bought that one. And then I think as a Christmas gift, I ended up getting that extension cord because they were out of stock at the time I bought the charger. So, but if you park your bike close to an outlet, or you can use just a regular extension cord and plug it in that way. But if you don't and need something a little bit further, then yeah, definitely get that extension cord for it. Gives you a little more length to get to the outlet as needed. Yeah, didn't really have much to talk about in this video. At some point I'll do my 5,000 mile review video that will be dedicated to that. Once, you know, you get a extended period of time with good weather. But if there's any other types of videos that you guys would like to see while I can't ride, let me know. I need to do another chin mount review. I got maybe putting a chin mount on my other helmet that I got, so I can use that one too. So I just need to get the motivation to record that video. And then the license plate one, it's just, man, with as dreary and cold as it's been, I've had zero motivation. But maybe this will give me a little boost of that. So again, any other ideas, let me know down in the comments. If you guys like this content and want to stick around for more, consider hitting that like and subscribe button so you'll be notified when we come out with more videos just like this. And then when I do come out with that 5,000 mile review on a Lowrider ST, you can check it out, especially if you've been eyeing one or thinking about getting one. I will definitely say I was sad to see my Sportster go, just because it was my first bike. And I love the look of those bikes. They're awesome, but I have no regrets about trading that bike in for this one. Zero. Highly recommend this bike. Go test drive it if you can. Or when the weather gets better and Harley Davidson has their demo days, definitely go take advantage of that and test out different bikes. And that way you get to test drive them without being pressured into buying one from the salesman. Although that could be bad, because then if you're not in the market for one, you could fall in love with the one you test drove, and then that's going to be on your mind. You're like, oh man, I got to get that one now. That's how I felt like when I test drove the Road Glide. It's like, man, I kind of like that bike, but I'm glad I went with this one, because it's, since I do mostly in-town riding, not crazy long trips, this one is easier to maneuver, less weight, and it's just fun. I really love it. So like I said, hit that subscribe button if you guys like these videos, and we'll catch you next time.